All right, we're working our way up to number 1, and at number 23, there he is.
That's
Ryan's
amazing.
first day of year 17. My teacher is Mr. Rivera. I am 38 years old. I am 74 inches tall. My friends are Terry and Curtis. And
that's really great.
With the mean mug with the mid-season beard makes it even better.
Oh, it is
Ryan
great.
Fitzpatrick, he's been around for a long time, and it was several years ago he was talking about retiring, and I think he ultimately resigned himself to the fact, I'm just going to keep doing this as long as I can. And he gave us some great moments last year with the Dolphins, and there's an expectation he's going to give us some great moments this year with the Washington football team. And Chris, you've got him at number 23, so he's not top 20, and I wouldn't expect him to be top 20, but he's pretty damn close to it.
Pretty damn close. Like a dangerous number 23 is what I would call Ryan Fitzpatrick at the quarterback position. I think the big thing I would say right off the bat is screw off Fitztragic, right? To me, that's gone. Let's bust some old narratives.
Is it gone? How do we know it's gone?
Because I've seen enough over the last 3-4 years to go, it's good enough play to where Fitztragic is not there. What?
No. Tampa, in Tampa, the year that Jameis Winston was suspended for the first 3 games.
Right.
And Ryan Fitzpatrick came out hot. And there was talk, Jameis lost his job. It turned Fitztragic, or Jameis wouldn't have been back on the field.
Well, yeah.
He had a dip. Every time we think he's great, he has a dip.
He had the game against Pittsburgh. I know exactly what you're talking about. It was a Monday night game. He threw 4 picks. They had a chance to even still win the game at the end. They were going back to Jameis Winston no matter what. He was the number 1 pick of their football team. Yeah, maybe he could have played a little cleaner. But listen, again, that's where it's like Tampa. Like, Tampa deserves some issues here too. I mean, there's a reason he was reckless. Jameis is reckless. I mean, there was something going on there. But again, that was still 3 years ago. So I don't really care. Guys change. They get better. They grow as players. And to me, that's where he has grown as a football player. He's got a better gauge of balancing Fitzmagic and Fitztragic, like we've talked about, where, there's been those points for his career where you just go, what the hell are you thinking? You're supposed to be from Harvard, and that's dumb mistakes. But they're few and far between now, and it's not like he's been on the greatest offenses in football here to talk about. But either way, Fitzpatrick, hey, he's aggressive. He makes plays with his arm without having, the strongest arm in football. He moves pretty damn well. That's one thing. When you go back and watch Ryan Fitzpatrick, you watch games and you watch him run, you go, damn, I forgot he can run like that. It's one of those things you forget about it. And, you see the stats here, Mike. It proves a little bit that Fitztragic is slowly being wilted away throughout his career. But the last thing I'll say, too, and why maybe I even gave Ryan Fitzpatrick a little bit of a bump, right? He's tough. He's edgy. He does have a presence and an edge that he brings to the football team when he's the starting quarterback. And I do think that's real, and guys can rally around that. And you kind of hear that already in Washington with guys talking about him and his attitude around the locker room and things like that. So that's why I got Fitzpatrick at 23. I'm a fan, and I think he could have a big year in Washington.
Well, and look, I don't disagree with that, and I'm rooting for him.
Yeah.
I just know that kind of anecdotal experience of being a football fan. When you write him off, he plays great. When he starts playing great and you think, hey, this guy is pretty good, it goes the other way. And we'll see. He doesn't have the competition this year. He was in the same spot as Andy Dalton. Signed that 1 year, roughly $10 million deal, and then sit and wait to see whether or not the team drafts a quarterback. The Bears did. Washington didn't. And if your 49ers had gone Mac Jones at number 3, Trey Lance starts trickling down the board in the top 10, entirely possible.
Sure.
WFT jumps up and takes Trey Lance, and it's a different narrative for Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
In a long time where he enters as the starter. It was 2016, his second year with the Jets. Remember, he had the 1 year with the Jets that was great.
Right.
And then 2016, he signed right before the start of training camp, and that year was a disappointment.
It was.
But it's the first time since then that he's the guy. And he gets his chance. And how much of an upgrade do you envision the quarterback room led by Ryan Fitzpatrick for Washington this year under Ron Rivera than last year when it was Kyle Allen, Dwayne Haskins, Alex Smith, and eventually some Taylor Heineke in the playoffs.
Well, I feel like there's a more of a playmaking element from within the pocket with Fitzpatrick in the room now. That's the biggest thing I would say. Alex Smith, we've talked about it. It's obvious. Yeah, knows how to play the position, manages the game, does all those things, but not necessarily going to maximize all that's there to be had with, throwing the ball down the field and making big plays and doing that. So I do think it's a pretty good upgrade as far as the quarterback position is concerned. I do, let alone, like we've talked about, Terry McLaurin is a rising star, a star already. It's just not everybody really knows about it yet. With Curtis Samuel added to the mix now, he's got some real weapons. And, again, not that I'm trying to say the guy is the most careful guy with football was saying, hey, no more Fitztragic and things like that. I understand. There's still a reckless part about him, but to me it's a more of a livable recklessness to where, the interceptions I've seen the last 2 years in Miami, I go, I get it. I understand it. As compared to maybe years before, you're like, what the hell was that? How could he even throw that? That's what I guess I meant by that. Maybe I went a little too strong. But, Mike, also to your point, about that. I think we talked about this 2 or 3 weeks ago. Ron Rivera is, I feel already subliminally talking to him in the media, right? He was talking about, we got more support here in Washington than Cam ever had in Carolina, and we got weapons on this offense. I think that, to me, was a direct quote to Ryan Fitzpatrick to hey, we don't need Fitzmagic every play here. We're good, and we got a good defense. When they're open, throw it. If they're not, let's be a little bit more conservative than maybe you've been in your past.
It really is amazing when you look at it. St. Louis, Cincinnati, Buffalo, Tennessee, Houston, the Jets, the Buccaneers, the Dolphins, and now the Washington football team. A career that began back in 2005. Same year as Aaron Rodgers. Rodgers has been with one team the whole way, and Fitzpatrick has been with pretty much every team but the Green Bay Packers since 2005. And I'm rooting for him. I think it's a great story. And maybe as he gets closer and closer to the end of his football life, he is relishing every moment, taking advantage of every spot and making better decisions and just not worrying about it, not worrying about tomorrow, not worrying about the next drive, not worrying about the next game, worrying about here and now. And performing and enjoying it and getting the most out of it. And it was fun to see what he did last year with the Dolphins.
Yeah.
And we'll see a lot more of him this year, barring injury for Washington. All right.
Well, I was going to say, but that's why I think it was such a gut punch to him, to what you just said there at the end to wrap it up. That's why it was such a gut punch last year when remember the comments he made when they went to Tua? Because he was going, damn, I'm playing good. We're a good team. We're a playoff team. So that hurt, I'm sure. Yeah, he was probably enjoying himself to your point and all of that. So we'll see. Maybe he gets another chance to lead a team to a playoffs this year. I'm taking Washington to win the NFC East. I'm just telling you right now. That is who I'm picking to win the NFC East this year.
We're going to draft the best non-quarterbacks in that division, the NFC East, the weakest division in the NFL. The Cowboys still the favorites, but I agree with you. I think Washington's going to win that division. We'll see how that all goes. In Pittsburgh, we'll see how it goes as Ben Roethlisberger, who turned 49 or 39, not 49. He may play like he's 49. The birth certificate says only 39. He turned 39 in March. You've got him at number 22.
I know, man.
That is a stunner to me, and I just want, in the event that Ben or anyone close to Ben is watching, these are Sims' numbers, not mine. Sims put him at number 22. He did it. Defend yourself.
Yeah, well, listen, I like Big Ben. You know that. I've been a defender of Big Ben forever. I don't know. It's tough to defend it right now or know exactly where he is at with his play. He was definitely one of the tougher placements I had in this quarterback rankings. I mean, yeah, I could have justified maybe moving him up a few spots, no doubt about it. But at the end of the day, I mean, what rings true to me more is what we saw the last 6 or 7 weeks of the year, is, a lot of short passes, some iffy decision-making, certainly, the offense itself and, what they looked like. His inability to make any plays off schedule and do anything like that really became a statue. And maybe it's because of the knee issues that we talked about, him being banged up. I certainly saw a difference in play there. But, everything about it, was not great towards the end of the year. And again, when they were 9-0, if you remember last year, I didn't put them in the top 10 quarterbacks in football. It was, they were 9-0 and things were good. I understand that. But when you really broke down the play of what he was doing, it was good, but it was nothing special at that point. And they were kind of like, just squeaking by on some wins. It wasn't like we were just like, wow, this is the most impressive 9-0 team we ever talked about. Again, remember what we were talking about at the time. It's one of the least talked about, unimpressive 9-0 teams we had ever seen. So that's just, again, Big Ben, you could still win with him. He's got still a good arm, but lack of playmaking, I think some of the decision-making towards the end of the year, all those things concern me, and that's why, he fell to 22.
The knees, I think, are a real concern.
Yeah.
There were chronic reports last year of issues with the knees, even though he never showed up on the injury report. He's taken a lot of hits. He's got a lot of mileage on the knees, hips, and ankles for a guy who's carrying around a lot of weight.
Right.
That eventually is going to catch up with you. We see him moving less than he ever had before. And now this narrative's popped up kind of out of the blue over the course of the last week that, well, he didn't throw the ball down the field as much last year because he was still recovering from his major elbow surgery, and this year they expect more of that. I thought it was the offense last year. I didn't think it was the elbow.
I'm with you.
Nobody said anything about as we were trying to figure out what the hell was wrong with the offense last year, no one was saying anything about the elbow trying to heal.
No.
That was never an issue. How's it an issue now?
Yeah, and I don't buy that. I don't. And I know he kind of said that too, like, again, whether he was making an excuse or no excuse or whatever. Like, listen, if the guy has elbow problems, you don't throw the ball 608 times during the year. If he was like telling you every week, hey, my elbow hurts. Hey, you know what I think will fix that? Let's throw it 48 times this weekend and not run the ball. That's to me where I can't get behind that. That's to me where, it looks a little excuse of like, no, I, audible to a lot of short plays and I just wasn't aggressive enough in my thinking and things like that. And that's why, we threw the ball short. That's what it looks like to me, because when he did throw the ball deep, he threw it well. I wasn't sitting there going, man, that looks weak. That looks soft. No, and I think that's part of it too. How much of the blame do we talk about the offense and put on Big Ben? There's certainly a number of plays I can go back and watch and go, hey, Big Ben checked to this play. Look, he's giving the signals to the receivers. He's doing it. Yeah, it's a 3-yard completion and things like that. So I think all of that in totality, what we're talking about, is why I make him 22. And that's not to say you can't still win a Super Bowl or do things, but they got to help him and protect him this year and play a different style of football, and I fully expect them to do that.
My big concern after that elbow injury that knocked him out week 2 of the 2019 season was we were seeing the beginning of the end, and the body was going to systematically crumble. And last year, we didn't see him miss time for it, but the knees were the next step in it. And I just 17-game season for a guy who's 39, who definitely has not been a subscriber to the Tom Brady 12 method.
Right.
And look, Tom Brady is still going strong at 43, going on 44 because of everything he's done. And we know that Ben doesn't do that. When you interviewed him at training camp 2 years ago, he doesn't spend a lot of time throwing the football in the offseason.
No.
And that's gonna make it harder for him to play deeper into his life cycle than a Tom Brady does.
Yeah, definitely. And the style he played, throughout his career, like you've mentioned so many times too, it's as physical as you're ever going to find, as far as a quarterback in the pocket, just getting beat around. But, again, we're showing a number of plays in big games here down the stretch of the year where it's missed throws, it's bad location, it's bad decisions altogether. It's a lack of, pushing the ball down the field for sometimes where I do question whether it was like to protect numbers or not be the blame of why you won or lost the game and things like that. So, again, it was, I don't want to be disrespectful. I love Big Ben. I think Big Ben is on the borderline of being one of the 10 greatest quarterbacks of all time. I get a lot of flack when I say that. So it don't feel good about making him 22. But I think right now, realistically, with the rest of the quarterbacks in football, that's kind of how I see it. And no disrespect to Big Ben, Big Ben, Big Ben, Big Ben.
If he can stay healthy,
Big Ben, Big Ben, Big Ben, Big Ben.
If he can stay healthy, and if they can get Najee Harris to do in the running game what they so desperately need, the defense is still very good.
Yes.
They're in a tough division. They're in a tough conference. It's going to be a tough road for the Steelers this year, but they did get off to an 11-0 start last year before the wheels came off. And I believe, and we've said this a couple of different times, they got themselves thinking they can just load up the cannon and do it again, address their weaknesses in free agency and the draft, hold the team together, and we're the Steelers. We know how to compete. And look, Mike Tomlin's still the coach. He'll find a way to make that team competitive. Whether they're running the ball, throwing the ball, short down the field, whatever, they're going to be competitive. They're going to be in games, and they're going to win games.
That's right. I fully expect it. One thing we know with Pittsburgh is they're going to be real. They're going to be honest with themselves, and Mike Tomlin's going to address it and try to change it. I think we can guarantee that. They got to, for all the reasons we've mentioned. Again, they lost 5 out of their last 6 football games. Their starting quarterback did not look very good, and their offense was lost during that period. For a team that started at 10-0, that was a pretty, big crash towards the end of the year with how they played. And, of course, that was all, really shown in the playoff game where it all really reared its ugly head. Bad decisions, missed throws, predictability within the offense, lack of an ability to wait. Nobody's open. Okay, nobody's open. Okay, we got to get out of the pocket, make a play happen just a little bit, do some sort of movement to extend the play, things like that. Those are things that Big Ben's just not going to bring to the table right now. It's not, and that's why it's got to change to the things you're talking about.
We have not yet, if we have the graphic that takes us up to 22, we have not yet seen in the Chris Sims top 40 quarterback rankings Lamar Jackson, Baker Mayfield, Joe Burrow,
right?
Which means that Roethlisberger is number 4.
I know, man.
In the AFC North.
Yeah.
What game situation, what scenario would you take him above Jackson, Burrow, or Mayfield, if any?
I need one drive to win the game in the Super Bowl. Maybe that would be thinking about it right now, because I think he'd be like, well, I've been there and done that, and I'm not going to feel the pressure of this, and I'm Big Ben. I'll bring us back. Like, that's one where, okay, I'll throw that out there right now. Huge playoff game, huge Super Bowl moment. I might take Big Ben to just go, wait, I think he can make the right decision, the proper throw, and he won't be overwhelmed by the magnitude of that situation.
The problem is those are situations that come at the tail end of the wear and tear of another season.
Right.
So physically, what's he got left at that point?
I know. You're right. And also, as I sit there and say it, I just think, well, man, I'd like a guy that could extend some plays, too, and do some things like that to find some open people in those situations. But I guess if there's one scenario, I would think about that. But certainly, he's not as talented as that crew. I mean, not right now. I mean, damn, those are 3 good ones for me. We know Lamar's a stud. Baker is entering stud territory for sure. And Joe Burrow was looking very studly before he hurt his knee. So, I mean, they're the guys, in my opinion. I got a lot of respect for those 3. It's not about disrespect for Big Ben.
So if we're on the playground and we're drafting a team for right now, the last of the 4 quarterbacks you're taking of those guys is Ben.
And for anybody, again, for clarification, this is what this is. We're all on the same team. This is my top 40 quarterback depth chart. It is. Oh, this guy got hurt. Here's the next guy. Oh, this guy got hurt. Here's the next guy. That's what it is. So, yes, he is 22nd in the NFL and 4th in the AFC North.
Well, again, it's Chris Sims quarterback ranking and direct all mail. I'm wasting my time.
You're right.
They're still going to send it to me.
Direct it to Mike Florio. Screw him. I don't have an email.
I get it.
Yeah.
On your behalf, email, Twitter. I'm gonna dox you one of these days. I'm gonna put your email address out there so they can just communicate directly with you. Because I'm telling you, anything you say, anything you do, I have to hear about it. I get asked about it.
I like it that way.
Yeah,
that's good. It's a good workmate.
It's gonna take more than a Lawrence Taylor jersey for me to ever feel good about that.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.